I will turn it over to you, Dan, and we'll get going right now.
All right. Well, thanks for inviting me to be a part of another one of your chat sessions, whether it's on a Zoom call or Instagram Live, which I believe is what we did a few weeks back. Just kind of talking to you last time and hearing what you're trying to do in your community just south of Portland is awesome. It's admirable. I've followed you a little bit now on social media, and you're doing a lot of good things down there. So as somebody who loves the game of basketball, who's had a lot of opportunities through the game of basketball, I always admire people that seem to be doing it for the right reasons. And I think that you guys are doing that from what I see. So thanks off for that. And thanks for asking me to be a part. So I know you wanted me to touch on a little bit more on shooting today. And some of the things that I've found that were important for me during my playing career, some of the things that I find important as a coach and when I work kids out, whether it's my son or different groups up here in the Spokane area. And I'll definitely do that. But at any point you want to jump in and ask a question, or if you have a comment, absolutely go for it. So, I think the biggest thing with shooting, to be honest with you, is having a motion that is repetitive. No two shooters are alike, both in the way that they're both in the way that their footwork cadence is, their stance with their footwork, as far as if you're narrow foot, wide footed. When you get it when you talk about the base in your shot, no shooters are the same with the dip that they have to create rhythm in their shot. No two shooters are the same with their shooting pocket, as far as whether it's off your some people off the shoulder, some people off the ear, some people have a higher release pocket. And so I am always a big proponent in that the shot has to be repetitive over and over and over again. And when it becomes repetitive and you and you rep it out, you spend time and time, hours and hours working on it, it will become more repetitive. And with that repetitiveness, your mind is kind of like a supercomputer in and of itself, where you can start to make these tiny little adjustments, whether your shot on a particular one was short, long, left, right. Your mind can figure out so many of those things. So I think that's the first point. So I guess now I've always been a big believer in building your shot from the ground up. And every workout that I do, whether it's with my son's team or whether it's a group workout, always starts with footwork. Absolutely no questions asked. And a lot of times people ask, well, why do you do that? Well, I always feel every workout has to start with footwork, and the footwork helps everything in the game of basketball. It helps your shooting, it helps your ball handling, it helps your passing, it helps you individually in those areas, but also importantly, it helps your team. Because I've never seen a intricate or advanced offense, which unfortunately in these day and ages, so many parents want to run an intricate offense. Oh, I saw Tom Izzo with Michigan State run this action. Can we do that? Well, you could, but the problem is they're drilled with spacing, they're drilled with timing, they're drilled with footwork, they're drilled with screening angles over and over and over again, so that intricate play that you are talking about looks so easy, and it makes it look like anybody can run it at a third, fourth, fifth grade level, whatever it might be. But when we go back to the footwork, if you don't, as a shooter, have great footwork, your shot is going to be slower. If you as a ball handler don't have great footwork, you're not going to be able to protect the ball and get the ball into an entry point to run that intricate offense maybe that your coach wants to run. If you don't have great footwork on a catch, you're going to be called for travels more times than not. Or that catch is going to be pushed out where maybe to not travel, you have to put the ball on the deck and you waste your dribble. And then you pick it back up, and now your offense is out of rhythm, it's out of spacing, it's out of source. So I think the biggest thing is always footwork for me. I look at footwork in two ways in the game of basketball. I talk inside foot, and I talk quick stop. A lot of people will call it a jump stop. I've always called it a quick stop ever since my time at Gonzaga, where Dr. Jerry Krause, who's written, I think he's written more books on the game of basketball and skill development than anybody else. But I took that from him because I thought it talked about it so perfectly. But we'll talk about quick stop first. So quick stop is obviously both feet hit the ground at the same time, and we talk about ball in the air, feet in the air, and that's whether you are a shooter, understanding that it's a catch and shoot opportunity is coming, or it's just a player catching it, right? Where now you have the ability to use either foot as a pivot foot. So quick stop will be obviously both feet hit the ground at the same time, giving yourself the ability to use either foot as a pivot foot. You need to be about shoulder width apart. Anytime you're a little too close or a little too far apart, you lose power and or you lose the ability to have some balance, especially if your feet are close, you'll lose the ability for balance and strength if the defense is up pressuring you. So that's one. That's the quick stop. I was really good at the quick stop in college, coming off of screens. In particular, when you kind of have a fade flare action and your body weight is taking you away from the pass, or the body or your body weight is taking you away from your target of being the hoop. I always felt that was best in a quick stop scenario. But again, Dr. Krause really implemented quick stop work into everything we did at Gonzaga, and Coach Few at the time was really big on quick stops. He's gotten away from that a little bit, where he still teaches it and drills it, but if a player uses the 1-2, he's perfectly fine with that as well. And so that kind of leads me to the second piece of footwork that I feel is very important, and that's the 1-2. The inside foot is really what I call it. So I'm a big believer that with the inside foot, it's a little bit quicker than the quick stop. And the reason why is, with the quick stop, if the ball's in the air, the feet in the air, and you're coming around the 3-point arc, say off a screen, yeah, the ball in the air, feet in the air, but you got to swivel your hips. You got to get back in line quickly to your target. And it kind of takes a jumping, turning motion all at once, where the inside foot, you're kind of timing out your catch, where boom, that inside foot, say you're going around the 3-point arc, that inside foot hits as the ball is as getting into your shooting pocket, and you're quickly swinging that outside hip and that outside foot back into a balanced position where you can elevate into your jump shot. I think that gives you more momentum into your shot, so I think it becomes quicker into your shot motion. I also think that becomes quicker, it becomes more powerful in developing longer shooting range. Again, when I was in college at Gonzaga, I was better at the quick stop. I developed once I got in the NBA to be able to become better at the inside 1-2. And currently I teach both. And what I tell kids in our workouts, find which is more comfortable with you. You're going to need to have both of those in your repertoire at some point in a game. And the biggest part is you don't want to catch it and travel. You want to catch and take advantage of being able to get a shot opportunity. You want to catch and take advantage of a drive opportunity if the defense is in that type of position where that opens up. And you also want to be able to catch and put yourself and team in a position to run an offensive set. So that's the biggest thing. Now, I think, as you continue to evolve into shooting, in a shooting progression, so many people talk about, your elbow in line with the basket. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But a lot of it also depends on how your body mechanics, your kinesiology, and how your body is really kind of structured. Some people have really tight shoulder girdles, and they can't get that elbow all the way locked in. And so maybe, 15-degree angle out is as close as they can get. I think if you look at some of the greatest shooters in the history of the game, they're not fully locked in here. They have a slight out there, but the whole idea is that elbow, as you're extending through into your target, should be what's in line, I think, in line with your target, which is the hoop. One of the best shooting videos that I've ever seen, Coach, and I'd recommend you checking this out, It's called the Kinetic Shooter. A friend of mine back in Green Bay, Wisconsin, he's got a phenomenal shooting workout video called the Kinetic Shooter, and he talks about, you know, uh, rhythm into a shot, rhythm into a footwork, rhythm into expanding your range, based on obviously kinetics and movement patterns. And so I would really recommend that. Um, I think one of the next things that people always talk about or ask me is, what did you look at when you shot? And a lot of people will say, I look at this ring on the basket, on the rim. Really? Maybe on a free throw you could do that. Maybe on form shooting when you first get started, which I'll touch on, I think, in a second about, a shooting progression workout. Maybe there you can pick out one small strategic target and really try to lock in your mental focus and hit that one target time and time again. But if anybody says that they do that when they're sprinting, coming off, you come off a single double, you change the direction of the defender one way, you come out the other, you got inside foot or quick stop on the catch, and that after checking your shoulder that you're open and you got a chance to shoot. With the defense chasing you, you're not looking at one little ring that the net hooks into on the basket. What you're looking at is the target itself. And the reason I say that is, if you're going to take, say, a BB gun and shoot it, right? Yeah, you look at one small target, and that might be that ring that the net holds into. But you're shooting it in a linear path. You're shooting it directly straight in a straight line. There's no deviation of up or down. It's just in a straight target, because you're trying to hit the target. You're not trying to go through the target. Well, in the game of basketball, the hoop is obviously a ring 10 foot up. And so your whole mind, as I talked about kind of your mind, you being a computer earlier and being able to adjust with so many different things, you're trying to shoot a ball through a target, not hit a target. And so that's where I've always looked at the rim itself as being my target. And if you've spent enough time and if you spent enough reps at 8 feet, your body will know the amount of effort and momentum needed to get your shot 8 feet. Now, if you've shot enough shots with extra high arc in different circumstances, your mind will adjust and do that as well. And so that's where I've always kind of been along the lines of, don't pick out one specific target, because that's your target in a straight line. You're trying to shoot a ball up and through a target and go into it. And it becomes just kind of, again, a repetition thing where your mind processes so many times, just how far you are on the floor. I think the next part that so many people talk about is your finish of a shot. Everyone a lot of times talks about, hold that until the ball goes, hits the rim or goes through. And I think that's about as good of advice as I could give as far as finishing your shot. There's two pieces of advice to finishing a shot that I think are important. One is hold your follow through. Because if you don't hold the follow through and you kind of snap it back really quick, you're not getting the true backspin rotation that a great shooter will have. You're kind of just flinging it up there, hoping it, as opposed to actually shooting it, holding your target. So I want that ball, that shot form held all the way up until the target. The other thing, the reason I say that is because it's a sign of confidence. I've always been somebody that, if you're a confident shooter, absolutely hold that follow through up there and let everybody in the gym know that that's your shot. And that's true on a free throw. That's true on a regular shot. So that's something that I always put in the back of my head is, if I'm proud of my shot, I'm going to hold that follow through until I know it went in or I know I missed it. The other piece of a follow through that I kind of really can kind of go back and check a few things as far as if I'm holding my follow through, and I feel that this also helps me know whether or not I'm kind of locked in on my shot is when my follow through is done, I want that close. I don't want a drifting left hand. I don't want a right hand that drifts after my shot. I don't want that quick. after my shot's over, I want those things in tight where I can check if I'm thumbing the ball or not. I can check if my hands were in a good position, because you don't want a lot of movement with your shot throughout, but also especially on that finish. You don't want to be finishing way out here, finishing tight. And a lot of times, especially in a workout with a free throw, with free throws, I would check it, I'd shoot it, hold it. And if I'm close enough, I can tap that really close and quickly. If I put them out here, I'm not able to check that, hey, I was nice and in tight with my finish and my follow through. So those are a couple quick thoughts that have always been important to me with shooting. If you want, Coach, if you have any questions, I can quickly touch on that. Or what I can do really quick is just kind of go through a shooting progression that I always felt was really helpful for me with my workouts.
Can you go through that shooting progression? And then if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat so we can move quick, because Dan has only so much time and we just want to streamline it for him. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat right now. Dan, why don't you run through that real quick?
Yeah. So, I think one of the biggest things for me when I was playing and working out every single day was come up with a routine that works for you. And what I meant by that is the start to every workout that I had was the same. Now, the secondary focus might change from day to day, and that secondary focus one day might have been pick and roll work. That secondary focus one day might have been live ball one-on-one moves. It might have been spot shots. It might have been something else. But the basic fundamental start to every workout that I always had would be the same. And it would have been ball handling, and it would have been footwork stuff to start, just to kind of get the blood flowing and get moving. And then it would progress into form shooting and spot shots every single time. And it would be the simple plain stuff where you're literally right underneath the basket, one-handed, turn it over, shoot it, hold the follow through, and I'd make between 3 and 5 at all 3 spots directly in front of the basket or underneath the basket. Left, straight, right, take a step back, and do the same thing where then now I'm bringing in my guide hand in. If the previous day I didn't have maybe as good a shooting percentages as I hoped for, maybe I go back in that next workout, I add a few more. Instead of making 3 at each of the spots, maybe I make 5. Or maybe I make them all swishes. Or maybe I do make 3, make 3, make 3, and then I have 3 where I put a little bit extra arc on it, again, to get that mind computer kind of working to kind of understand, the how far away, the distance approach that you are. Then that would progress back to what I call spot shooting. It would be, 15-foot, high school 3, NBA 3, making 5 at each spot. And that would be a lot of times 5 spot shooting or 7 spot shootings, where it'd be baseline, wing, just off the elbow, straight away, just off the elbow, wing, baseline. And that would be the start of pretty much every single workout that I would do. And with that, it would be both quick stop and inside foot 1-2s. So that would be the start of every workout. And then, like I said, the focus of the workout for that day could change. Pick and roll work, catch and shoot work, coming off of screen work, it would change. Okay, Coach, I see the most youth teams having very limited practice time. How would you attack building a more complete shooter? I think that's a good question, but I think 2 things have to happen. Kids have to shoot on their own because you don't, with youth teams, unfortunately, and please take this with a grain of salt, unfortunately, too many youth programs and youth teams, and this is directed towards parents, are more focused on winning at those ages as opposed to getting better and making it I don't know if fun's the right word, because winning is fun, but getting better is fun, and just being in a gym is fun. But making it fun so the kids continuously want to come to practice and come to work. And if you structure too much of your time in practice to running this play or that baseline out of bounds play, or unfortunately in this day and age, our zone, which I completely disagree with for kids to play zone. If they work on that, where's the time for them to get better at their ball handling? Where's the time for them to become a better shooter? You're really cutting into it. So I think coaches at the youth level have to make a really big effort to structure practices where we're going to get a ton of ball handling, we're going to get a ton of footwork, we're going to get a ton of shooting in every single day. And if that means your practice is currently run an hour and a half right now and you're scrimmaging for 30 minutes, you need to find a way to cut that scrimmaging down to 15 minutes. Now, I'm not saying scrimmaging isn't important, but scrimmaging isn't as important as building the fundamental base of becoming a good player.
Perfect. I don't see any more questions. Dan, I appreciate your time. I really do. I got some nuggets out of it. Again, thank you. Whenever you're down here in Oregon, I'll take you to some of the best Pinot Noir in the area.
Awesome. Well, yep. I appreciate you asking me to join. Anytime I get a chance to connect with different basketball organizations, and if it fits my calendar, I like to do that. So thank you. Anybody else out there joining, thanks for joining, and best of luck to all of you coaches and all of your teams and players in the upcoming season.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.